Good evening. Welcome to SportsCenter from the nation's capital on this Memorial Day as we remember and honor those who made the ultimate sacrifice on behalf of our nation, and our freedom allows us to do things like have jobs where we watch sports and then talk about them on TV, which is what we're going to do here tonight. In the NBA, the New York Knicks heading to the NBA Finals for the first time since 1999. Karl Anthony Towns will join us. Tim Legler, Kendrick Perkins, Brian Windhorst, all on the way over the course of the next hour, including one big thing on how New York got there. We begin with a series clincher, and once again, it's not just a win, it's a statement win as Cleveland early on has a 1-point lead. Donovan Mitchell scores inside. He had 31, but it didn't add up for the home team. Off the miss, woo, woo, woo. Jalen Brunson all alone, and it's a 4-point Knicks lead. Next Cavaliers possession. They had open looks from three throughout this series, didn't hit enough of them. On the other end, again, it's a run out, and it's OG Anunoby. The Knicks had 13 fast break points in the first quarter, the most they've had in any quarter this postseason. So the lead is 6, but it balloons in a hurry. Brunson stops on a dime. That's cash from three, and it's a 12-point lead. Knicks on a 13-0 run. Landry Shamet on an absolutely historic run. 11 of 12 from three in the series. They're not done. They're up 20. There's Jose Alvarado on the break, 18-0 run. Next Cavs possession, they are spiraling, and it's all gone wrong. Alvarado will miss the three, but Karl Anthony Towns is on the run. Rebound, the slam, and the Knicks have 20 unanswered. And you see Donovan Mitchell imploring his teammates. There was nothing to say or do other than just watch this Knicks team go. That flat-footed long-distance three, Cat 19 and 14. And the Knicks on the run again. Anunoby from Brunson. And there are Knicks fans in the building in Cleveland and a watch party in Radio City Music Hall. Once again, it's an offensive rebound and a slam. I don't know how many slams they had, but it was many. It's going to be up by 30. Brunson in the corner from Bridges, all three of these, 15 and 5 for him. They're up a zillion. Early fourth, Shamet with the steal. Here, you do it. I will. Again, it's Anunoby. And again, it's New York. And again, it's a closeout obliteration. And Donovan Mitchell, sort of like that Alonzo Mourning meme, shaking his head like, yep, they did it again. In 4. On to the finals. Joined now once again on the program by Karl Anthony Towns. And Kat, I'm going to get to the forensic analysis of your performance in a moment. But I want to start with just the human emotion. As a kid that grew up shooting shots in the driveway or wherever, imagining someday I'm going to play in the NBA Finals. You and your team, the next time you run, are in the NBA Finals. How do you describe the level of excitement that comes with that?
I mean, it's an honor to even be in this position. All glory to the Most High. I just, you know, not only was I shooting in the driveway, like you said, but I was in the area watching the Knicks, cheering for the Knicks. And to be in this position with a team that I grew up cheering for, my favorite team, and be in this position wearing this jersey, and to see the word hope be brought back to the city, and because of us, it's I can't lie, it's something that's emotional, and it's something that I've always dreamed of, and you never know if it's going to come true. You always think you got to play 2K to reach these heights, but just super happy that we have this opportunity to be back, to be somewhere where the Knicks deserve to be.
Yeah, this is real life, though, man. You're living it for real, which is amazing,
yeah.
and so are your all's performances. I mean, 51 against Atlanta on the road closeout, 30 on the road against Philly closeout, 37 on the road closeout against Cleveland. What has unlocked this level of brilliance and dominance from your entire team?
I think it's a testament to the guys in the locker room, staying together, believing in each other. and continuing to find a way how we could get better. Every single day I've always talked about getting that 1% better, and I think we're seeing the culmination of that throughout the regular season to now. Every single day we're getting better. Our defense gets better. Our offense gets more fluid, and it's a good time to be peaking as a team.
It makes sense to me, but Kat, like as you guys see it, like to play like this and to have them stacked one on top of another, does that collectively kind of sharpen the focus of the group, right? When you see what's possible, like does that make sense that no one's satisfied? It's like, well, hell, maybe we got another gear than the one we found.
Yeah, I mean, this team is special. We have a different mentality. To be honest, we just broke our huddle after the game right now. But all of us are getting dressed, ready to go. We're ready to go home. There's no beers, there's no champagne, there's nothing like that. We're ready to go home. We're ready to get back to work. So, again, it's a testament to this mentality of this team and the camaraderie we have.
I get completely the value of rest this time of year. At the same time, when you're playing at this level, I can understand why you'd want to get out there as quickly as you could and just keep the momentum going. What concerns are there, if any, about the rest that you will have prior to the next game you play?
I mean, obviously we know it's a risk. We saw ourselves in game one. We looked rusty. We didn't look like ourselves that we presented to the world in the Philly series. So, we're going to have to we'll have to figure that out. But it's a gift and a curse when you play this well in this round to be able to go to the finals. We played well and we earned the right to get rest, but we understand that it comes with its own negatives as well. So we already talked about in the locker room. We're eager to get to practice, actually. So we already talked about practice and what our schedule looks like. So a lot of us are probably going to be in the gym tomorrow getting some shots up.
All right, let me close with this. You're not a kid with the sticks playing 2K. You're on the floor playing somebody in the finals, and there's the Larry O'Brien sticker on the floor, and this is a real thing. And at the end of the next 4 wins for somebody, there's a trophy and there's immortality in the league. How do you maintain calm and focus and let the game just be the game when that time gets there?
Trust your experience, and we have to lean in on each other. That's what's guiding us here. It's us believing in each other, willing to sacrifice for each other, willing to do what's better for the team. That's what's gotten us to this moment. That's what got us to the finals, and that's what's going to help us do some special things in the finals as well. So if we just continue through the trials and tribulations, the ups and downs the series will present, to continue to lean on each other, continue to sacrifice, continue to believe in the work we've put in throughout the whole season and the postseason, we give ourselves a chance every single night to win, and that's all you can ask for.
Well, all we can ask for is a chance to come on the road, and we're bringing our show to New York. I don't know what they're going to charge us to get in, but I'm going to just send the bill to Disney, and I look forward to saying hello in person and seeing some of these finals games in person in New York. Congratulations, Carl Anthony, on the brilliant play. I look forward to seeing you then, all right?
Appreciate you. I appreciate you. I can't wait to see what New York looked like. I could only imagine.
Well, here's what it looks like right now. We had Chuck the other night chanting street meat. He's looking forward to getting some of those vendors in the city. Please don't stand on signs and fall down. You still got 4 more wins to get. Keep your poise. Y'all are New York City. As for how the Knicks get to the finals for the first time since '99, that was when they knocked off the Pacers in a Game 6, which was tied in the 4th quarter. 32 from Allen Houston and 20 from Spree. New York would fall to the Spurs in the finals. Could be a rematch. 99 finals came 5 years after they lost to Houston in 94. The last title team was 73. Bill Bradley, Walt Clyde Frazier, Willis Reed led the Knicks over a Lakers team that included the logo Jerry West and the legend Wilt Chamberlain. Knicks clinched in Game 5 on the road. The 26 squad has already made some history of its own with some sweeps in the last 2 series. The first time the franchise has ever had multiple sweeps in a single postseason, even including the best-of-5 format earlier in the playoff years. They've won 11 in a row. They won 6 straight on the road, all by at least double digits. Kendrick Perkins is with us in the building. And about the level of dominance they're showing, not just winning. I mean, they're putting people to bed early. What are they showing, and is it changing your perception of who they are this postseason?
Well, they're showing me that they're a team that's together, and they have the it factor, Scott. And to all the people out there in the world that's thinking that, hey, the winner out of OKC and the Spurs is going to be one of the teams that's going to win an NBA championship, they're lying, and the truth is nowhere near. Because the Knicks have a legit shot at winning the NBA championship. They're deeper than the Pacific Ocean and Atlantic Ocean combined. And when you look at their roster, when you look at their leader in Big Body Brunson, he's growing right in front of our eyes. He's able to get his and make others around him better. Karl Anthony Towns is looking like the best big man outside of Wembanyama in the NBA on both ends of the floor. And you know what the most important thing that the Knicks have?
What's that?
Two-way players.
Yeah.
And OKC showed us last year that you need two-way players in order to win the NBA championship. The Knicks have OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, Landry Shamet, and Mikal Bridges. So all of those guys are capable of defending at a high level and putting the ball in the basket.
I just asked Kat something I'm going to ask you because you've lived it. When you haven't lived it, and now it's the finals, is it difficult to just the outside noise and whatever it is you're feeling? It's got to be difficult to flush it and focus on what you're doing because it's just a game, but it isn't.
Scott, you have to find that balance, and it's almost to the extent of when Floyd Mayweather, when a guy first time fighting Floyd Mayweather in Vegas, they get caught up in the moment. And Floyd already won the fight before he stepped in the ring. It's the same stage, similar when you step into the NBA Finals. The team that's happy just to be there is the team that's going to go home as a loser. But if you go there, you find that balance beforehand to come in and say, you know what, okay, we soak it in media day. Let's get in between these lines, and all of a sudden it becomes basketball again, and you stay true to who you are and continue to win the game between the lines, then you'll be fine.
I wouldn't ask Kat this because no disrespect, but he never could be honest. If I say, has your opinion of yourselves changed? Has your belief grown? What's he going to say? Yeah, we didn't think we could before we played Atlanta, but now we do. But I have to think, when you play at this high a level for a month and a half in the playoffs, you have to view yourselves differently. Do you think that that's something that's happening in New York right now?
Absolutely. And what happened is that we saw growth in that Atlanta series. We saw guys find themselves and guess what? Lose themselves in the team. Because now all of a sudden we're watching a Knicks team that's playing agenda-free basketball. They don't give a damn who's getting the shine. We're watching Karl Anthony Towns take that step of being a defender. We're watching Jalen Brunson take a step of playing off the ball, playing on the ball, right? And all of a sudden, Mikal Bridges, who was catching a lot of heat from a lot of New Yorkers, including our friend Stephen A. Smith, all of a sudden he found himself in that moment. And Mike Brown did a hell of a job of sticking with him.
Mike Brown, the Sacramento Fire? That Mike Brown?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just checking.
You know they can't get right.
That's another story for another day. Maybe Philly was worn out from the Boston series. Maybe Cleveland was worn out from the Detroit series and the first series with, Orlando played Detroit. Who did they play? Toronto. It feels like 3 years we've been in the playoffs. Maybe that was it. Or maybe New York's just playing at this level right now. As for Cleveland, their series comes to an end, and it comes to an end by getting swept on their home floor. Donovan Mitchell on what happened.
I mean, y'all asked me 1,000 times if we were tired. I can't tell you yes. But, I mean, we did this to ourselves, and that's not an excuse. They're a hungry team. They beat us, swept us. So I don't want to diminish that. But we didn't give ourselves a chance because we didn't handle business. And I told them guys in the locker room, I said, now we know. Like, for a lot of us who've never been here, you can't play with your food. We had an opportunity to close both series and give ourselves some rest. You got to be able to give yourself a chance. And we had an opportunity in game one, and then we blew that. So the two series before, having to go 7, and it's our fault. Like, we did that to ourselves.
It's just an unfortunate situation. You know what I mean? Like, any team coming off a tough two series against two defensive monsters, it would have been challenging. And I don't necessarily, like, maybe the first 3 quarters we played well. I don't even know if the first half in the first game one. I think maybe that third quarter we played well, we actually made shots. And then other than that, I don't necessarily can't remember a quarter where we actually made shots, like as a group, which is like, you're not going to win against any team. So It's just that's a little frustrating.
Harden had 2 field goals and 5 turnovers. That's that odd stat about him. Perk, about halfway through the sound, you just put your head in your hands. What do you got for me on Cleveland?
Well, first of all, somebody needs to take their microphones from James Harden, Donovan Mitchell, and Kenny Atkinson, because that is embarrassing to hear what they're talking about. You know what? In the playoffs, things are going to be hard. In 2008, we went through 2 7-game series. It's about your mentality. It's about, do you have the will to want? It comes from inside, Scott. And listening to those guys, they're making more excuses than a brother going to jail. Kenny Atkinson comment the other day was the most asinine thing that I've heard in this postseason.
About analytics?
About the analytics. We win the analytics. Yeah. What? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
How about showing some type of leadership? Donovan Mitchell, where's your leadership? And when I watched their lack of effort in the closeout game tonight on their home court, the New York Knicks had 20 offensive rebounds. Scott, you and I were sitting in the back, and I had to ask you, what they got, 25 dunks?
It felt like
as well. Jalen Brunson actually looked athletic. How many times did we see him push the ball coast to coast and get all the way to the basket? He got out in transition and got a little dunk. Jalen Brunson.
Yeah.
And he's one of my favorite players. But again, when you're looking at your leaders, supposed to be leaders, and Donovan Mitchell and James Harden, if you're banking on those 2 guys to lead you anywhere, especially into the promised land, especially after hearing those comments post-game, then you dead bird tall grass.
Interesting offseason. They're going to see what direction they choose to go. We'll talk to Brian Windhorst about that a little later. Perk, we'll see you in New York when we take our show up there for the finals.
I'll be there, Scott.
Joined now by Tim Legler with the New York Knicks add Cleveland to the pile of wreckage they left on the side of the road these playoffs. On the road in Atlanta by 51. On the road in Philly by 30. On the road in Cleveland, another closeout by 37. Their level of play is at a level I'm interested in hearing you describe. And also, Tim, and how your perception of them as a championship threat, you now view them to be.
Well, Scott, first of all, this is historic, what we're watching, the way that this team is playing, and the numbers all back that up in terms of their efficiency, their balance, their margin of victory. You know, we're in the playoffs, and they haven't lost a game in over a month in the postseason. Really crazy. And I know they got themselves in trouble in that Atlanta series. They turned it around. They haven't lost since. And I started to feel differently about the Knicks team toward the latter part of the regular season. When you started to look at how the East was shaping up, you looked at the New York Knicks, and it came together for them with the balance they had across their starting lineup. And that's what they have found. And, Scott, you talk about these impressive road victories to close out these series. One of the reasons, defense and balance travel. You don't have to get spectacular performances out of any one guy on your team. That's a big deal in the playoffs. And then their defense has now matched their offense. You have this complete team capable of beating you in a variety of ways in the paint, from the 3, with their defense, in transition, in the half court. No weaknesses right now. This team's obviously on an incredible roll. And once again, they're going to have a lot of time off as they sit there and wait to see who their opponent will be in the finals.
With respect to Atlanta, Philly, and Cleveland, whoever New York plays next will be a step up in competition. There's no reasonable argument to that. How significant a step up, and how well positioned is New York, given what you've just witnessed, to absorb that challenge, whoever it might be?
No, they're going to see something totally different in the finals. You just alluded to it. You have 2 teams out west that are 2 of the best defensive teams in the league. They've got superstars that they built their offenses around. 2 of the deepest teams in the league, and you have to have depth to play this Knicks team. So you're talking about a much more formidable challenge. There's no question about that. But I think what the Knicks have done is they've answered the question, can anybody coming out of the East stand up to those 2 teams? The Knicks have answered that question. Yes, they can, because of the way they're playing and the totality of what they're bringing to the table every night and the different ways that they can attack you and defend you. So, yes, they're up for the task. They're going to be ready. They're going to be rested. But make no mistake, they've got a different opponent to try to take down once they get to that stage.
Tim, thanks for the time. Look forward to seeing you in the Garden. We'll be there for games 3 and 4. 6 if the title. A look back at the road, which featured a game against Atlanta that I recall being out to dinner and looking at the score and thinking it was wrong. They won 140 to 89, a 51-point game. They shot like 1,000,000,000% from the floor. not really, but they might as well have. Then, looking for an easier bit of it against Philly, a sweep. They went into Philly and didn't miss. Third sweep of a best-of-7 in franchise history. Knicks fans turned it into a takeover, making Philly feel like MSG South.
I used to think Philly was a sports town. I don't know if it is anymore.
Of course, he's one of those Nova Knicks, and they enjoyed that. And now here in Cleveland, they erased a 22-point deficit in the fourth quarter. A little bit rusty after that long layoff. It was the first time a team won when trailing by 20 or more in the final 7 minutes of the fourth. Other teams prior to that, 0 and 663. After that, they really weren't challenged. Landry Shamet was nuts in Game 3, and it led to the first 10-game winning streak for the Knicks at any point since 2013.
Analytically, I think we've won I said 3 out of 3. We're 2 out of 3 in the expected. I don't know if you guys follow that. I said like an expected score.
Yeah, but see, the score is how we keep track of who gets to play in the finals. So analytically, the Knicks won this game by 37, because it's just math, Steve.
That's it.
I'm not smart at a lot, but math I can sort of do. A 20-0 run, on to the finals. Jalen Brunson, the MVP of the Eastern Conference Finals.
The belief that the organization has in me has been amazing, and it's something I don't take for granted, and it's something that not a lot of people get the opportunity to do so. So I'm very thankful, and it's an honor to be here in this city and for this organization and this with my teammates. And yeah, obviously these guys have my back, and they've always had it, and wouldn't trade that for the world.
Sacramento fired that guy. Anyway, the Knicks have completely demolished teams on these closeout games, and especially in the first half. I mean, they've essentially ended the games by halftime. 83-36 in Atlanta. That was where I thought it was a misprint. 81-57 in Philly, led by as many as 29 in the first in Cleveland. It was a 19-point lead they took into the locker room, and they essentially doubled it in the second half, and now they're heading to the finals.
One big thing.
For most of my time at ESPN, and that goes back to 2001, the reality of the New York Knicks has been incongruent with the idea of the New York Knicks. The first 20 years I was here, they won exactly one playoff series. Not title, series. And yet largely fueled by the allure and juice of both the city that they call home and their hoop home, the Garden, the idea of the New York Knicks remained. For a brief moment, after big-time free agents chose New York City, but the borough of Brooklyn to call their home, it was the Nets who had some juice. The cover of the New Yorker in 2021 suggested it was their city. That never became a reality. But in 2022, something did. The Knicks got Jalen Brunson. Now remember how and why. First, because Dallas didn't extend him, and then the Knicks struck out on the very public pursuit of Donovan Mitchell, whose Cavaliers the Knicks just swept. Now, I got to own the fact that at the time, I thought the Knicks were foolishly spending money simply because they had it and had to get somewhere. I believed Brunson to be the proverbial number 2, which is not a knock on him. It's just I didn't see the path for him to be the guy in that city. Well, here we are. Brunson is a true superstar in this league. OG Anunoby is another player I completely misjudged. Watched him play a bunch at Indiana. I thought he was a pro, but not one this impactful. A 17-point-a-game guy approaching 40% from 3 in the league? I didn't see that coming. His acquisition, along with Karl Anthony Towns' arrival from Minnesota, meant the Knicks had to part with high draft picks and all-stars like R.J. Barrett and Julius Randle. But those relationships had arrived at rocky moments, and even if it meant parting with a popular role player in Dante DiVincenzo, the time was right. The Knicks also felt the time was right to part with Coach Tom Thibodeau last year after they made their deepest playoff run in a generation last May. Timing seemed a little curious. They were largely patient with the team, but as they did with some big-name players, they felt a new approach and new direction was necessary. You stack it all end to end, and now the time has arrived for a team in a city to take center stage one more time. And for the first time in a long time, the reality is the Mecca is just that. Somebody paid more than $250,000 for a pair of courtsides for Game 3 because the Knicks are back in the NBA Finals. New York, New York. Brian Windhorst joins us now from Cleveland. Brian, I thought maybe professional pride, something would summon itself tonight for Cleveland and they'd win a game. They got outscored by double digits in every single quarter except the second and the third, they got outscored by 7 and 8. But anyway, they get run by 37. This Knicks team isn't just winning, they're obliterating people. Has it changed your calculus for you on how you view them vis-a-vis NBA championship worthy?
So since the second half was irrelevant, I spent the second half texting with coaches and executives and scouts saying, hey, can this Knicks team do it? Like, we've seen them now for a month. Can this Knicks team do it? And the answer resoundingly is yes, they can. I mean, can they win 4 more games? They will probably be the underdog, but we don't know who's going to be standing upright in 2 or 3 more games coming out of the West. There's already guys banged up in that series. And look, the Cavaliers are not a great team, okay? They went 8-10 in the postseason, okay? If they were in the Western Conference, they would not be in the conference finals. You could debate about whether this team would have made it out of the first round. But it wasn't like they won these games, as you said, by 1 or 2 points. They were smashing these teams. You know, I was just talking to members of the Knicks front office, and when they came here a few years ago, Scott, they had no players, okay? Look at this team now. Everybody they put on the court can play. And so, like, they are going to face a monster next week when this final starts. But they absolutely can win it. This is a team that is very talented and is playing its absolute highest level of basketball. And when I came out here and was waiting to come on, there's all these Knicks fans, thousands of Knicks fans here, and I get asked 10, 20 times, can they do it? Can they do it? Yes. Yes, they can do it.
I agree with all of that, and we will have at least 4 more games to discuss New York vis-a-vis this season. Cleveland's has come to an end. The last couple of years, look, they were the 1, and then this year they won a bunch of games, made a conference finals. They've won over 100 games in the last 2 years. It's not like they're awful, but they're non-competitive in this situation, and they're left to ask themselves, what do we do next? So I'm asking you, what do they do next?
Yeah, they're not good enough, okay? And it really starts with the fact that their 2 best players, Donovan Mitchell and James Harden, they don't defend very well. And the Knicks exploited them on it, and the other teams exploited them on it. So they have got 2 courses of action. Kenny Atkinson just talked about it. They can try to bring them back for a training camp and see if they can gel, or they can try to swing huge for the fences. What does that mean? They've already traded one of their young all-stars, Darius Garland, for a veteran player in James Harden. Would they consider trading one of their other all-stars for a veteran star player like Giannis Antetokounmpo? Would they get into that sweepstakes? They have the ammo if they want. The second thing is, and while the Knicks fans were all asking me whether the Knicks could win the title, I got a bunch of Cavs fans out here asking me, are they going to sign LeBron James? The answer there is maybe. Right now they can offer him $3 million, Scott. That's what they got, $3 million. Maybe LeBron would take $3 million. Maybe they'll make 4 trades and they'll open up a bunch more. But right now it's $3 million. So we've got a lot of questions to answer before you get to that pathway. But certainly the Cavs have some big choices to make about which pathway to go.
Interesting things to ponder for Cleveland as their offseason has arrived. Brian, we'll see you in New York when the finals gets there. Thanks for the time.